Hey, what's going on everybody, and this is John J. Gaming on the mic, coming at you guys with a recruiting special for the Bluffton University Beavers as we are in our inaugural season in the FBS. Should be a pretty good one, so make sure you smash that like button as well as hit subscribe if you happen to be brand new, as we are on the road to 1K as of the recording of this video, of course. And we're going to take a look at some high school games, throughout the state of Ohio, featuring some of our better recruits that we are currently looking at right now, as well as taking a look at some other recruits that aren't getting as much hype but should, help out this team tremendously moving forward, as well as taking a look at the pipeline states, trying to build a strategy to build our team moving forward, as we can only recruit the state of Ohio. But if we get some double-digit wins, we can add on to the number of states that we can recruit in. So all that being said, got a couple of great high school matchups for you guys to watch. So let's go ahead and get into the first high school matchup that features Fairfield, from the Cincinnati area, going on the road to play against the Amherst Comets in the great city of Cleveland. So to begin this game, we're going to start with the Fairfield offense. One guy to look for is Bruce Forden, who actually gets the ball and breaks the tackle as well. He has no one left to beat. Wait a minute, the safety could catch him. Can the safety do it? And the safety actually does get her done. Bruce Forden is a guy to watch. He is, with that 75-yard catch, what a way to get noticed right away. He's a Bluffton University commit, a one-star prospect from Fairfield, Ohio, as they do end up finishing up. Mark Bellini finishing the drive himself with that little keeper for a touchdown, as Fairfield goes up 7-0 and gets a free and out as well. So we get another look of this Fairfield offense as well, as Mark Bellini able to pick up 8 yards on that one, getting positive yardage once again, as they'll go ahead and try to run it once again. Bellini again. Who is this kid? He's really quick. A 17-yard gain that gets him across field. He certainly looks quick on tape, that's for darn sure. As now Bellini going to go ahead. He's going to get upfield again. Another quarterback option for Mark Bellini. Definitely a guy, not sure if he'll make it as a quarterback, but definitely has a future at the collegiate level, it seems like. If that athleticism that he does carry, we'll have to wait and see how he handles, with the passing game, as Bellini does go ahead and throw the pass, and look who's there to make the tough catch. Bruce Forden in tough coverage. The one-star prospect coming up in here, making a play, as Bellini actually breaking a tackle, trying to pitch it to his man, but doesn't quite do so in time, without doing it safely, of course. It does a 5-yard gain, and now we're already here in the second quarter. We got 3rd and 6 coming up. Bellini going to set up the screen, and look who it is. Bruce Forden gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Fairfield. A 14-0 lead. Now Bruce off his second catch, already with 80 yards and a touchdown. Really making his presence felt in this first, part of the Bluffton University recruiting special for season 1. As McFarland does go to the left-hand side on, following Amherst finally getting something going on the board. And one person to watch out on this offense for Amherst is number 70, Josh Britt, who just gets manhandled, by the way. Not very good, but, despite what you just saw on that play, he is one of the more highly regarded, recruits that Bluffton University is successfully able to go after. He's already a Bluffton University commit as well, and can help us out right away, on top of that, as Manny Scales takes the carry for another 10 yards, eclipsing his previous total, increasing that exponentially, as Scale takes another carry. It's a huge hole, able to make a man miss. Manny Scales with a 23-yard gain. Oh my goodness gracious. As Bellini will go back to him, another carry for the tailback, just running all over his defense. Amherst does have one Bluffton University commit, number 27, Nick Mundy, is a free safety on this squad. So that's going to be a guy to watch out for going forward. A one-star guy, but right now hasn't really done much to get his presence felt, as Fairfield has been able to do whatever it wants right now. And as there's another throw over in the middle, Bruce Forden once again getting connected as he already has over 100 yards receiving. We're not even done with the first half yet. It has all been Fairfield so far. Amherst having a really hard time coming up with an answer. As we got 2nd and goal now. Bellini throwing over the middle. Finds Douglas Weiss for in the end zone. Touchdown Fairfield. And just in a blink of an eye, it's a 21-0 lead. You know, in this cross-state showdown, since the Cincinnati area getting the better of it thus far. As it's 21-0 now. Can Amherst finally get a first down, though? We'll have to wait and see. Why we haven't seen many offensive highlights is just because they haven't really done much of anything. They've gotten maybe 1 first down this entire game so far. It's been tough sledding for the Amherst Comets, as Warren's going to try to jump back, but look who it is. Bauer from Fairfield intercepts the pass. The linebacker putting himself in a perfect position as Sabaris Bauer, in addition to his multiple tackles so far today, gets his first turnover force, as Fairfield actually does go free now in its next possession. Doesn't do anything with it. And so with less than 1:30 left in this game, you know, Amherst still trying to find its footing. As we got 2nd and 4. Warren dropping back, but gets hit immediately as he's thrown. That's an incomplete pass. As we go again, another 3rd down. Can they convert this time around? Going to Justice on the outside. He's got some blockers and does just enough to pick up the first down. And so Amherst trying to get something going, but then next couple of plays, you know, nothing much of anything going. And so Corey Justice, they try to run it, try to get this clock run out, but they forget that Fairfield has multiple timeouts and do end up using them as well. And so with 38 seconds left, 1 timeout, Fairfield can get some more points on the board. We'll see if they go to Bruce Forden here, as Tommy Madsen able to pick up a 17-yard catch. The Fairfield Flying Tools on a drive. Bellini throwing to the left-hand side, throwing to Madsen. Can he get to the end zone? Yes, he does. Touchdown, Fairfield. And so here we are in the first half already. Fairfield already winning 28-0. Amherst really need to get themselves together, man, because it is not looking pretty right now for the Comets. Hopefully second half is better. And speaking of which, welcome back to the second half of play. And one thing that I do want to do is I like to play with both of the teams equally for, you know, these recruiting specials going forward. So one team I will play with in the first half, and that was Fairfield that I controlled. Now in the second half, I'm going to be controlling the Amherst Comets. So let's see if me taking the wheel does anything at all. As Warren is looking around, trying to throw it to Corey Justice, who does get a huge first down, a 15-yard gain. Let's see if they can keep it going, man. Although, not sure how things are rocking and rolling, as they got to go 4 verts all the time, as Ortiz tries to come up and make the catch, but Bryson Pendleton comes up in there and makes a deflection. So a 3rd and long for the Comets. Let's see if Jeff Warren can do anything. Warren looking around. Going to try to throw it over to the left-hand side, but it's thrown short. And McCollum makes him pay for it. It's Jeff Warren's 2nd interception of this game. Jeff Warren just having a pretty bad day at the offense. And so Fairfield takes over once again thanks to the turnover. As Bellini somehow gets away from that. It should have been lit up like a Christmas tree. But again, the high school level is a different beast. So plays that should have been made, you know, that are kind of give-me's at the college level isn't necessarily the case at the high school level. You know, we kind of just saw that in that play right there, as Maiden Scales picks up 6 yards. And so, 2nd and 4 coming up. Bellini going to go ahead and try to run it upfield. Able to get some good yards as well. A gain of 10 yards on that one. A nice first down. And so, a 3rd and long coming up a couple plays later. Let's see if they go to Bruce. Looking around. Going to actually throw it to the opposite side as Dawson was wide open. Nice job by Mark Bellini to you know, going through his progressions that time. You love to see that from your high school quarterbacks. You know, really learning the position, as Tommy Madsen makes another catch for him, a 14-yard gain. That goes for a pretty good first down as well. The Flying Tools still driving once again. We'll see if they can make it 35-0. As Bellini trying to go up the middle, and it's An easy touchdown for Manny Scales. And Fairfield with a 35-0 lead and forcing another 3-and-out too on top of that. This game is certainly getting out of control right now as Douglas Slice makes another catch for him. His first catch since the second quarter. Second catch in period. And now 2nd and 5. Going to go upfield and pick up the first down easily. Does get lit up by a Christmas tree, but doesn't matter. Still able to move the chains for a first down. And we'll try again now. Another 1st and 10 for Manny Scales, who's looking and gets 6 yards on top of that as well. Another 6-yard gain for Manny Scales, who despite not getting that many carries, he's doing the most with them. Already with 81 yards right now. You love to see that as Bellini is scrambling around. Bellini does pick up the first down easily once again. A 10-yard gain that time around. As Bellini and Country continuing to move forward. Another first down, but wait a minute. It's Ray. And I had completely botched that free safety's recruit's name. It was actually Ray that came up in there. That's his last name. He's the Bluffton University commit. I don't know where I got Nick Mundy, to be honest with you, but he's a free safety from Amherst. Although he's not going to get much help from his offense tonight, though. Another interception for Jeff Warren. That might be the cue to go ahead and see how the Bluffton University recruits did, as well as who the player of the game is, for these guys. So Mark Bellini is named player of the game, and he got it done with the arm and the legs. 4 total touchdowns, nearly had 250 yards passing and nearly 100 yards rushing too. So a very good day for this quarterback. As the Fairfield Flying Tools do go across the state of Ohio, play the Amherst Comets, and win by a final score of 38-7. A very convincing performance for Fairfield in the first game of this recruiting special. So with this game between the Fairfield Flying Tools and the Amherst Comets completely done, let's check out the player stats for the key guys that we're watching on the Bluffton recruiting board, as well as the player of the game. Starting with the offensive line, we go to Joe Britt's stats, and the crazy thing is, or Josh Britt I should say, crazy thing is he didn't record any stats, didn't have any pancakes today, but also didn't give up any sacks, which is a good sign. Amherst had 2 total pancakes and did not give up any sacks on that offensive line. As for Aaron Ray, the defensive guy that we're watching out for, he looked like a pretty solid guy overall. Pretty balanced dude. 6 total tackles, but did a very good job of coming up and making plays when need to. And was also able to get his hands on the football, was able to have a fumble recovery himself. Whereas Ricky Ware was the guy that forced that fumble. So not a bad performance for Aaron Ray. He had 6 total tackles and a fumble recovery to his name. Now we gotta check out this player of the game for Mark Bellini. Mark Bellini was the player of the game. He looked awesome today. 13 for 19, 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. Was very polished. He's only a sophomore right now, so somebody that we should keep an eye on. He's on this here in Fairfield, Ohio. And then he also got it done on the running game as well. He had 17 carries for 88 yards and also got into the end zone as well. He has 1 touchdown, although he did fumble the football 1 time. But great game from Mark Bellini in this first part of the showcase. Finally, Bruce Fortin is a Bluffton commit and looked very good out there, in his senior campaign. He had 4 catches for 113 yards and a single touchdown. His longest, including a 75-yard run, off a curl route, was able to break a tackle and then almost get his way into the end zone. Did score off of a screen. A very good game for Bruce Fortin, particularly in the first half. Now we transition over to the second half of this recruiting special, at least for notable recruits. We have the Beechwood Bison going on the road to play against the Fairfield Warriors in Fairfield Park, Ohio. Should be a great matchup. This will feature 2 Bluffton recruits in Chris Lundy, who is the starting quarterback for the Fairfield Warriors, and cornerback, defensive back Nick Miner, who is a hard-hitting corner for the Beechwood Bison. If you're enjoying today's recruiting special so far, do me a favor and please smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new. Let's go ahead and see how these 2 teams do. So since Chris Lundy and Nick Miner are the only 2 players being featured in this part of the recruiting special, only going to be showing the Fairfield offense going up against the Beechwood defense. as I would love to see how Chris Lundy reacts to dealing with another Bluffton University commit on the other side of the football. And Nick Miner, as he's going to go deep for his tight end, but he's picked off. Try to go one-on-one using his tight end, who does have the size to get that done, but just overthrew it just a little bit too much. And so Glenn Macklin from Beechwood, gets the interception that time. So Chris Lundy off to a slow start, but we kind of knew that. He's not the most athletic, well, he's not the best throwing quarterback, I should say. It's not much better from a throwing aspect, than what Jack Rockford and, I.T. Thomas have been able to provide so far this season. But at the same time, though, he is a little bit more athletic, so want to see if he does make some improvements with his throwing, because we know what he can do with his legs. Even given the constraints of the offense, they do like to run a pro set, which doesn't usually like to go, with a lot of, quarterback reads or anything like that to display that athleticism. But we do get a read option here with Chris Lundy, and you see the speed there. Chris Lundy bursting out of the backfield and able to nearly pick up the first down himself. Chris Lundy looking good with the legs, man. 2 carries for 20 yards. You love to see that, if you're a Bluffton football fan, as this kid will likely be the starter, in his true freshman campaign once he gets back on the campus. Was one of the current Bluffton quarterbacks do make a quick jump up to the next, level really quickly, as there is a holding, no, actually it's a face mask on the Beechwood defense, so that's going to bring him a lot closer. So now, basically first and goal, Chris Lundy going to go ahead and scramble upfield. Can he get into the end zone? Yes, he does! Touchdown, Fairfield! And Chris Lundy helps even up the score. So this round goes to Chris Lundy. Let's see if he can build off of that. And his next drive coming on the way. Going to throw over the middle to Zach Mays. That is complete for a gain of 7. Again, a run-heavy offense, man. Only his 3rd throw for Chris Lundy, but his best throw yet so far today. As they'll go back to that running game. Joe Grisby is the star of the show here. A nice gain for him, but has been having a difficult time finding running room, and so it's kind of been a low-scoring game. As now, here we go, 2nd and 10. Trying to look around, and he's nearly picked off. It was Nick Miner, the Bluffton University commit, nearly picking off his future teammate. And now, 2nd and 10 now, because he was not able to catch the football. Does throw it over the middle to his, the star player of his offense, and Joe Grigsby. As it's 3rd and manageable coming up, they're going to go to him once again. The bell cow of his offense. Can they pick up the first down, though? And it looks like he's going to be able to, but just barely. Bounced it a little bit outside too much. But still got the first down nonetheless. Is now 2nd and 8 coming up. Lundy going to the right-hand side and finding his best receiver in Adam Ellison. The best throw we've seen so far from Chris Lundy. A nice out route. Bluffton University quarterbacks have had a hard time executing that out route, it seems like, at times during the first half of the season. And so we got a 2nd and 5 coming up. Actually, 3rd and 5. Lundy going to drop back the pass. Spotty sees a man, going to try to throw it to that man, but it's Nick Miner getting his hands on the football with interception. And it's Chris Lundy's 2nd pick of this ball game. Nick Miner shadowing him perfectly. Thought he was open, but it was not the case. Should have put a little bit more air under that ball. I think if he had more air under it, it would have went better. But Beechwood was able to use that touchdown that that was sparked off that Nick Miner interception, and now has the lead going into the second half of the lead of his game. And that's still the case as they are still looking, to get their offense going. Just only 7 points. They have done a really good job. They're undefeated, averaging 30 points a game. But right now, definitely having a hard time finding their footing, as Beechwood is able to employ a very good squad out here, and we're definitely showing it in full force. Now 2nd and 14, thrown over the middle to an open receiver in Jamie Tyson. That goes for 11 yards on that one. As now, here we go again, a 3rd and short coming up here. We'll see what we got. Lundy going to try to run it up the middle, and it's just short. They're going to have to punt the ball away, and just a dominating game for Beechwood and company. Mac Balsas is named the player of the game, but Beechwood quarterback who had a really good performance out there. And so Beechwood does win this game by a final score of 35-7. You know, Chris Lundy certainly has some things to work on, but you have to be impressed by how Nick Miner played. You know, able to get an interception that was helped Beechwood give the lead, and they didn't give it back once that touchdown was scored. But now that we made it through this Beechwood versus Fairfield football game, let's go ahead and check out the stats for today's game. Starting with the Beechwood side, we had Max Balassis, who was the player of the game. Only a freshman was able to win the starting job in his freshman year in high school, and he looked really damn good. 23 for 31, 239 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This man is electric. We're going to try to keep an eye on him throughout his high school career. Another reason to look out for him in his high school career is he also got it done on the ground too. He had multiple touchdowns, 9 carries, 71 yards. This dude was just flat out special in this recruiting special as well. Now, as for the guy that committed to Bluffton University within Season 1, we had Nick Miner, who is a senior and will be coming to our school next year. He didn't have any tackles, but no one dared to go his way. Chris Lundy went his way one time, and what ended up happening was he had an interception, and then he also had a deflection, so nobody really out here going Nick Miner's direction today. You know, maybe could outlive that 1-star status. Now, as for Chris Lundy, he did not look very good today. 6 for 15, 60 yards, and 2 interceptions. We knew that this arm wasn't necessarily his specialty, you know, but it was really disheartening to see him do as bad as he did with his arm today. Gonna be one of those things where we're gonna have to make a system around him. Just because, you know, not really a pass-happy kind of quarterback. Although he did look decent on the ground, though. He did have 7 carries, 28 yards, and did find the end zone. But a little bit of a disappointment today for Chris Lundy. So with that second high school game now completely out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the recruiting board. These are the guys that Bluffton is currently looking at for its very first recruiting class at the FBS level. We saw guys like Aaron Ray, Chris Lundy, Nick Miner, Josh Britt, and Bruce Forden all take the field for the Beavers, all completely committed to Bluffton University moving forward. Actually, matter of fact, a lot of these guys, you know, didn't have another scholarship offer with the exception of Josh Britt. He did have a scholarship from Bowling Green, opted to go to Bluffton University. And Bruce Forden is a guy that, you know, only had an offer from Bluffton University, so he'll be definitely thankful for the playing time and the early opportunities. But these aren't the only guys on this recruiting class that can make an impact. Starting with Joe Chavez. He is a fullback from Oregon, Ohio, but number 60 overall rated fullback. You know, he's 6 foot, 240 pounds. You know, looking at what this guy can do, he actually has pretty solid speed. You know, he just isn't that great of a blocker. Only 61 pass blocking, 63 run blocking, but does have some half decent, you know, receiving abilities, has, you know, decent catching. You know, I see this, and I know that 80 speed could also help us out tremendously. You know, it might be a little bit undersized for a tight end, but, you know, I might move either Joe Chavez or another fullback over to the tight end position to try to, you know, get that moved up, because an 80 speed tight end, that could definitely be a problem. Another guy that I'm also looking at is from North Olmsted, Ohio. David Cox is a smaller fellow, 5'11", 186 pounds, but he can be a little bit of, you know, a speed back. You know, he gonna be a type of guy that, you know, is gonna try to go for the home run every single time. Won't be running people over necessarily, but, you know, he does, you know, have good speed. You know, 85 speed, that would be a huge upgrade at the running back position, because, you know, our running backs right now are simply not very fast, and also carries a very dangerous juke move as well as a nice spin move to complement that as well. So a couple moves that he can go to in order to, you know, get away from some defenders. The thing that I am concerned about is the carrying. He only has a 61 overall carrying ability as of right now, so fumbles could be a concern for this guy, but does have decent catching, can make some catches out of the backfield and can help us out right away. Now, Bruce Forden was also someone that was not not the only wide receiver he's looking at. He may be the most notable, but Mike Russell's a pretty solid guy too. He's from Piqua, Ohio. He's, a little undersized as well, 5'11", 208. Kind of filling out a Julian Edelman kind of role. If you got him at a Walmart, definitely needs to polish up the catching for sure, but has good athleticism for the most part, good speed, decent acceleration and jumping ability. Someone that we can certainly develop, and should, be able to help at least get off the line of scrimmage. Chris Johnson is another fullback that we are looking at, and he is already committed to go to Bluffton University as well. He is 6'2", 254 pounds, more of a blocking fullback. I see this guy maybe making a transition over to the tight end position, because he does have some, better blocking abilities than Joe Chavez, but he can be a problem at tight end as well, or we could even put him on the offensive line. He can definitely help us out there too. Because he has good athleticism for an offensive lineman, but he can't really do much in terms of like catching the football. So look for Chris Johnson. If he don't be surprised if he gets moved somewhere on the offensive line to try to get that shored up as much as possible, just to try, because he has the size to do it. Speaking of offensive linemen, we have Stefan Rivera from Newark, Ohio, representing that Columbus area. He has some good size on him, 6'6", 283 pounds, and is confirmed to go to Bluffton University. Does a little bit of everything, decent pass and run blocking, impact blocking is at a 69, nice. Strength, you would like the strength to be a little bit higher. Only 75 strength for an offensive lineman is definitely a concern for sure. But we did get him. We were in a brief battle with Penn State, but Bluffton University pulled it out. Just loves the fact that he'll have plenty of playing time and can stay in the state of Ohio to play college football. So we're excited to have him on there, and he'll definitely help bolster up the offensive line. Up next, we have Antoine Atkins, who is from Middletown, Ohio, in between the great cities of Dayton and Cincinnati. Antoine Atkins, chose Bluffton University mainly because he wanted, to stay in the great state of Ohio to play college football, and should get some playing time as well early on, as he is, currently projected to be maybe a third or, somewhere in that 3 to 5 range for wide receivers. So depending on what kind of scheme we run, whether it's this scheme or a different scheme next season, we'll be able to see him on the field next season, sparingly at the very least. He did have a separate scholarship offer from the University of Ohio, but Bluffton pursued him harder, and that worked out much more in our favor, as Antoine Atkins, 80 speed, 69 acceleration, nice as well, but does need to polish up his actual receiving abilities. Only a 66 catching, so expect some drops, and don't expect some stuff in traffic as well. He only has 61 catch in traffic and a 58 spectacular catch, but could be an athlete for us, could be use him as kind of a gadget player. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, we have DJ Walker, a 6'2", 200-pound strong safety from Norton, Ohio. He chose to go to Bluffton University already as commit to not only play college football in the state of Ohio, but to potentially start right away. If all things hold out right now, he'll be projected to start from the get-go, so that would be nice. DJ Walker, has, a little bit better speed in that back end. The problem is he can't really cover. Only a 44-man coverage, 54 zone. Tackling's a little bit better, a 60 tackle, 66 hit power. But there's a lot of room to be desired on the coverage end. But he can come in, make some tackles in the box, maybe be like that 8th man in the box. Jason Rudolph is up next, and he's going to help bolster up the defensive line. He's 6'6", 245 pounds, and is known for being a run stopper, which will definitely help us out, as we have really struggled, more than anything to stop the run, which has killed us a lot. Too many big runs that we've been giving up so far this season. Jason Rudolph, not the most athletic guy. He only has 54 speed, so he might move to defensive tackle just because he can't really contain the edge that well. He would definitely struggle against mobile quarterbacks if he stayed at that defensive end position, but he has better tackling abilities and decent play recognition at that 62, and he's the only scholar. Actually, scratch that. He had scholarship offers from Eastern and Western Michigan as well, but Bluffton was able to keep him in the great state of Ohio. But don't be surprised though if Jason Rudolph does end up moving to defensive tackle. Antoine Atkins is another guy that I want to look at. He's from Maumee, Ohio, and he's coming because of playing in the great state of Ohio, and to get on the field early. Who wouldn't love to do that? The problem is though, he has the same problem that DJ Walker has. Can't really cover right now, and his press leaves more to be desired. But decent athleticism, just to have more speed on the field. Just gonna need a lot of reps, both in games and in practice, to really get his coverage skills down, because they do not look good at the moment. Justin Thomas is up next. He's represented Van Wert, Ohio, a 6'4", 259-pound behemoth, looking to play college football in the state of Ohio and get playing time early, and should get that. Now, he isn't very athletic, which is no surprise, being at that defensive tackle position, but the tackling leaves more to be desired. Only a 56 tackle. He's going to have a really difficult time wrapping up, but when he does get those tackles, he does have decent hit power, a 70 hit power rating that could help, force a couple of fumbles here and there, but definitely a guy that we need to develop. Frank Henry, his 6'7", 330-pound guy, is up next, and he's there to help bolster up the offensive line as well. He has a little bit of everything, loves what Bluffton is doing, going in the right direction, he thinks. But the problem is, he can't really do much in terms of the running game. Only a 59 run block, that's not going to really help things out too terribly much. Can't help protect the quarterback in the pass, regardless of who starts at quarterback, whether that be Chris Lundy or a Jack Rodford or even IT Thomas, and of course 69, very nice. He did have one other scholarship from the University of Purdue, but opted to go with the Beavers, as the Beavers were pursuing him harder. Frank Henry is also a guy that will have to start right away, most likely, but not necessarily because he's the most talented guy. Rayshawn Smith is up next, and yes, it's another strong safety, trying to bolster up the defensive back core as much as possible. Trying to get some guys, can do a little bit of everything, but the problem is, Rayshawn Smith seems like a pretty raw guy. He does have decent athleticism, and his press is there. However, man and zone coverage are under 50 overall. We're talking about a 43 man coverage, 46 zone coverage. Did have a scholarship offer from the University of Miami in the great state of Ohio, but opted to go with the Beavers. But definitely a developmental prospect. Is going to really have to work on his coverage in order to play well at the collegiate level. And then finally, the main person I want to go in depth with is Dan Chase. He is the last guy that's above or at 50 overall. He's from Salem, Ohio, is 6'1", 285 pounds, and is actually kind of slow for a defensive guy. Only 48 speed. Going to be definitely get slow off the line at times, and can't really do one thing very well, but he is a guy that will help at least build some depth on the squad. Maybe if we're lucky, we can be able to redshirt him depending on how our roster shakes out, but he will be coming to Bluffton University. Now, there is two other guys I want to talk about briefly, Jaron Scott and Demario Neal. None of these guys I don't see making too much of an impact. However, the way I see it right now is both these guys are going to be bodies, and depending on how our roster shakes out, we're not going to have 70-plus guys. We're not going to have anyone to cut, so we can at least keep these two on the squad, maybe redshirt them going into next season, just so that I can get some more experience and get used to college football, because these two guys aren't ready to play at that next level, I don't think, even though they both receive scholarships from Bluffton University. So now we take a look at the national view of what a recruiting board is looking like. We can only recruit in the great state of Ohio right now. That is part of our recruiting restrictions. And because it wasn't the pipeline state for Ohio, we are only able to go after one-star guys. Good news is, regardless of what happens this season, when Ohio turns into a pipeline state, we can start going after two-star guys that are interested in us, so long as they're not JUCO prospects. So that will help bolster up the roster even more so. We do have one game that we do have a legitimate shot of winning. That is against Defiance College towards the end of the season. And what's happening with these recruiting restrictions, I've talked about this in week 1, is if we win by 10 points or more, we can add another state that we can recruit in. So if we beat Defiance College, not only win, but win by double digits, I think I'm going to add Florida. You know, Florida is just a little bit closer. The thing that Bluffton really's got going for them right now is, you know, proximity to home and playing time. And Florida will help us out a lot more in that regard. Get some guys in that state of Florida. And not to mention, if we win, we can go after some 2-star guys towards the end of the season, as there's a lot of recruits in Florida. I'm sure there's some 2-stars down there that are going to fall under the cracks. So if we do beat Defiance, we are, you know, going to add Florida and add some 1 and 2-star prospects towards the end of the season. Try to bolster up that recruiting class towards the end. But as of right now, we are stuck with the 20 guys that we have. Even if our last person does sign, we can't add anybody else right now. So just trying to get something done on the football field so that more people would be interested in going to Bluffton University. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning into this recruiting special for the Bluffton University Beavers. We'll go ahead and continue our inaugural season in the FBS, going, you know, back home to play against the Miami University Redhawks, who are heavily favored to beat us, but I've liked what we saw in the last game. Just see if we can put that in, you know, try to continue to build progress, you know, taking on these Redhawks. Definitely a lot of work that needs to be done, but, you know, just got to keep moving forward, man. Just like I said, because I liked what I saw against Central Michigan. We only lost by 19. You know, so we can turn this thing around for sure. Maybe we can still win more than one game. But it's going to take a lot of work, and I'm ready for that work because we're in it for the long haul. So with all that being said, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash that like button as well as hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. In the meantime, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day out there. Take care, everybody.